Welcome back to Senior Savvy Cannabis. I'm Katherine Goldberg. Today, we're joined by Artie Seji of the Paris. I still get the Green Cross emails. The Green Cross is my favorite dispensary in the entire world in San Francisco. And I saw there was this flower on the menu that was an 11 to 1 ratio. And I had to make sure I wasn't imagining something. Can you tell us about your flower and what your cannabis philosophy is? Because that's unusual to say the least.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. Um, yeah, our brand, The Paris, we have launched a variety of product lines since our inception in 2020. And most recently, um, one of those product lines is our ratio flower product line that we kind of started putting out there a little bit over a year ago. As we kind of noticed there wasn't a lot of love being given to the minor cannabinoids out in the industry, CBD-rich flower, one-to-one varieties and all that. So we decided to kind of develop a product line based around that and kind of see if we could build that aspect of products in an industry that was like so obsessed with just THC percentages for the longest time. So yeah, we kind of launched with like a more CBD, less THC blend, which was like roughly a 20 to 1, sometimes between 15 to 20% CBD, 1% THC, and then also followed that up with like a 1-to-1 type blend at equal. And so, obviously every flower batch will be a little different in terms of where that exact ratio is, but those are kind of the main ones. And then as well, we do like a one that's slightly more THC with still a little bit of CBD in it for people who still want, like a THC high, but at a lower potency and to have some CBD in there to kind of like counterbalance some of that. So yeah, it's been really exciting having launching that ratio line, and we're super grateful that Green Cross picked that up as you mentioned, and kind of added it into some of our other products that we have as well.
It seems like, and I don't want to jinx it, but the industry may be turning a corner where
For sure.
people aren't just shopping. And it's not just shopping for THC percentage. It's like sometimes the menus will break down the math on the price per THC milligram. So
Yeah.
you're looking at that, you're saying, well, it feels like I'm getting ripped off, but I know my day is going to be a lot better if I have a more
Yeah.
balanced flour. So I actually have never tried your flour yet. I just moved to
Yeah.
Miami. I'm going to have to take a trip back immediately.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us what those cultivars kind of feel like compared to like my favorite cannabis ever is Durban Poison. I love
Yeah.
terpinolene. I want it to feel like espresso.
Yeah.
Yours are
Yeah.
probably a little bit more grounded than that. But what have you heard from people who gravitate towards the ratios?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think on the one-to-one, the one that's like an equal blend, roughly about 10 to 12% CBD and 10 to 12% THC, you do still get a high. You still feel the THC, but the CBD kind of counterbalances it. It makes it a little bit more calming. I think especially for people who get the sensation of like they feel anxious or when they have like higher dose cannabis, they feel like their mind is racing or uncomfortable. It's like a good option for them because it's just a lower THC percentage overall, but the CBD does. I would describe as kind of taking the edge off of the THC. Um, so for people who are looking for that kind of experience, it helps give them that like non-anxiety kind of, but still getting the THC high. And then I would say one step further are the 20 to 1 ratios. It's uh, only like a percent of 1 to 3% typically of THC. Um, that one I'd say is more of just like a calming effect, very slight buzz. You feel like body relaxation, but it's less of like a mental high experience. And so for people who are, you know, still enjoy smoking, still like the ritual of that, still want to have the benefit of the CBD and the relaxation, but without as much of the mental effects, it can be a good option for them.
I was so thrilled to see it because it seems like some balanced products are coming out, but
Yeah,
not in flower form. They're like,
right,
it's in gummies and it's distillate and it's reconstituted.
right.
So, like, cool, but I, for me, at least personally, I do best with inhaled flower. I use a
Hmm.
vaporizer, but get the inhaled flower really is the best bet for me. So it's just nice to see
Yeah,
that it's not a gummy, it's not necessarily a tincture, that we can kind of get back to basics. Besides just the minor cannabinoids, do you guys can you say anything about the terpenes that may influence anything with the cultivars?
absolutely. Yeah, and we do include the terpenes on all of our batch
Cool. So
stickers
you can
because we want
choose.
to have that. Yeah, so you can see what's in there, and consumers can kind of, if they want to, take a look and track and pay attention, like see, oh, this strain was high in these two terpenes and I had a great experience, or this other strain wasn't for me. Oh, it turned out there was a lot of this terpene. Kind of like how you said you're looking for terpinolene, like knowing sort of what you're looking for is that's the game changer. And the cannabis experience in a lot of retail is not that yet. Like you were mentioning, it's very much price per THC percentage. But I feel like that education and that guidance for people to really take a look at the terpenes, what strains they're really connecting with. Um, you know, that's the next evolution, hopefully, of where we can go as an industry and getting consumers to, have like the best experiences and outcomes possible.
For
So yeah,
themselves.
yes, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, so we try to put that terpene information out there. For the most part, our one-to-one is, the same strain. I'd be happy to pull up the COAs and kind of talk
We'll link
specifics
to
if you
it.
want.
It's
But
okay.
yeah, yeah, I'll
Yeah,
link
I'll
to it.
link to
Yeah.
it.
But with CBD, there's not a whole ton of varietals yet. It's kind of one of those things where it's this supply and demand thing that's happening right now, where it's like people weren't buying CBD that much, or asking for it that much. So not a lot of growers were growing it, and so there's not that many options out there. And it's been cool to kind of see the shift happening this past year, where we're actually getting a lot more demand for the ratio products, especially in flower and pre-roll, as you mentioned. There's really not that many options out in the market right now, and it's been cool seeing like how it started from its infancy stage to like, okay, like a lot of shops are asking for it, and it might not be the obviously like the fastest moving product out there because not everyone's looking for that exactly, but the number of stores that we're seeing it get in is really increasing. So now with the cultivators we have relationships with, we're going back and we're saying, hey, we actually are finding that there really is a demand here, and they're scaling up the amount that they're growing next year, doing more varietals and that kind of thing. So we're getting to a place where we can start having multiple varieties, like you were saying, that can be more terpene specific. Right now, it's more just like we have availability for this one strain, like, for the one-to-one. We have like available. That's not true. We have two strains that we have the Gushmints 1-to-1 and we have the Blueberry Boost. So there is some selection now, but as we kind of continue this path forward and the demand builds up, we'll have even more strain selections and more ability to like have choices for consumers on that.
Do you think that your flower moves better, resonates better in Northern California versus Southern California? Or not necessarily, or do you not have enough data to make that conclusion yet?
100%, 100% overall NorCal is we have more connection with what we're doing. Um, and yeah, Northern California, there's just more of an understanding of the sun grown, the craft farmers that are up here. People, will know the farms that we work with by name and understand um, and respect, the work that they do, the generations that they've been on their property growing and the care that they put into the plant. So overall, definitely our brand and product, it's easier to connect home in Northern California. SoCal still is a little bit a lot of preference towards indoor. But I would say for like the CBD ratios in particular, we do see good traction in SoCal because I think because there's not as many options out there, and the people who would gravitate towards like a ratio flower or a ratio pre-roll maybe don't really care about the like indoor aspect as much. Like they're just happy to see that a product like that exists and that the quality is high and that kind of a thing. So um overall, yes, definitely we land better in NorCal, but I'd say for the ratios, it's kind of like it's been going well statewide, because I think people are just happy to see a good product of it.
They just want one option. They literally
Yeah.
just want to see one
Yeah,
option. And
absolutely.
it's not only the seniors, it's a lot of seniors, but it's really everyone. I think we've moved into this. I like using cannabis as a catalyst to be the best version
Yeah.
of myself. And
Yeah.
certain times it is, and other times I don't use it wisely. And I've noticed that this 25 plus percent THC just really doesn't bring out the best qualities in me. So
Yeah.
knowing that there are other options is such a blessing. Um,
Absolutely.
it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you guys work with Huckleberry and with a farm cut?
Yes, we work with Huckleberry Hills Farm, and then Farm Cut is I believe it's a collection of a few farms, and we have worked with the farms that are underneath Farm Cut, with kind of different one-off collaborations. Actually, most recently, since you brought up Farm Cut, one of the farms under their brand Emerald Spirit Botanicals, they um, they're a family, generational farmer, just lovely people. And their whole thing is they do a variety of different mixture of cannabinoids across the board. So they'll have like, the THC and CBD blends that we've been talking about, but they also get into THCV and CBG and all these different other minor cannabinoids. And they've really developed out a bunch of different unique strains that are not seen anywhere else in the market. And we're doing a collaboration with them with their Blueberry Boost coming out probably within the next month. And that is roughly like a 12 to 15% THC. And then it's got like around, I believe, 5% THCV in it, which is more of like an energizing cannabinoid. So when you were talking about how you prefer kind of that zippier profile, whenever you make it out to California, I'll have to get some of that Blueberry Boost pre-roll collab over to you because
Thank you.
that'll kind of have that energizing profile.
That's that's Joseph, right?
That's Joseph. Yes,
Okay,
Joseph.
so we had Joseph on, and I
Oh,
realized,
awesome.
yeah, brilliant. I love what he's learned from his mom. I love his
Yes.
philosophy. I love he told us these stories about how these people who had struggled with like losing weight for many years and just nothing clicked, they
Yeah.
got their endocannabinoid system in check. They used the THCV strain and they kept the weight off. Amazing.
Yeah. That's
Um,
awesome.
I saw it at the Woods like the day before I moved and just didn't put it together. And then I interviewed him 2 weeks later and I was like, I'm an idiot. Like I walked past the THCV, like the one thing I've been looking for like a decade. So I got to go back out.
Yeah.
But I love that you got, okay, cool. Like, do you find that I don't want to use any sort of like battle metaphor in the slightest, but it kind of sounds like the people who were dominating the cannabis industry, kind of these multi-state operators, these just people with unlimited money and maybe had never even smoked the plant. Um, they're people are starting to say like maybe they're not producing the best product, maybe there's something else. Do you think that this kind of the family farm model is or that it's gaining traction?
You know, it's hard to say if there is some like larger shift that's happening. I honestly couldn't say that definitively. Um, what I can say is for us, it's about aligning with the right retail partners that understand that and give us an equal platform to put our product out. And I believe that when there is an equal platform to put the product out, that consumers will feel the difference and they'll come back to the flower that is grown with more care and um, a deeper root of understanding historically versus, people are just kind of rushing in to make some money, as you mentioned. So um, I think it's one of those things where it's a long haul uh, effort, and it's more just about aligning with the places and that will really allow us to put that out, and I think the right people will come and connect to that. I hope that that shift continues, and that people really understand the value of the craft side. So it's an ongoing thing. I guess we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense because whenever I walk into a dispensary, I ask what moves. And
Yeah,
it's unfortunately usually not the CBD options.
yeah,
But you can tell by the way that the bud tenders answer, it's because they don't really appreciate the CBD options.
yeah,
And it's not every single one, but it's sort of just something I've noticed. And it seems like the Green Cross was the first dispensary I ever went to. It's when I got my medical
yep,
card 13 years ago or so. Um, you can tell that the people who shop there are not buying stizzy. They're looking for medicine. They're the people who
yeah,
eat real food.
right,
You guys aren't making the Taco Bell of weed.
yeah,
So it seems like the bud tenders there get it, Kevin gets it, and the shoppers get it.
right, right,
Um, I am just curious about pest control. And I know that you're kind of like the brand and then the farmers are there. But
yeah,
um, do you have any information on like when we're talking about these craft practices, these organic farming techniques, um,
yep,
how do you keep the pests away when they're outside? Because I know in the past people sort of had used neem oil, and now we have this neem oil is no good anymore because of the potential CHS connection. So,
yeah.
do you have any idea how those farms go about pesticide management?
I don't have like the most current up to date exactly what's going on with that from every single farm, but I do know what they have done, what the practices that they put into place from like a general standpoint. Um, I know a couple of our farmers, they use beneficial insects. So essentially that is introducing certain insects into the environment at the times where there could be issues with harmful pests that will control, the population of potential harmful pests. So um, basically, introducing insects into the environment that aren't going to really touch the cannabis plant, that will eat the the pests that would attack the plant. So that's definitely one. Um, and then, I think there is a lot of like ways for like foliar treatment. So like spraying of using like things that they are making on site from like totally organic ingredients, that can happen. But that's the part that I just don't know like specifically what's
No
going on
worries.
because I think they develop it, season by season and all that kind of thing. So I'll have to find out more information and get that to you. But um, yeah, I definitely know like uh, the other one too that I saw, when I was touring Johnny's farm. You mentioned,
Mm.
we work with Huckleberry Hills Farm. They also plant other plants, other like flowers and different things all around um, their cannabis beds. And so that's like the same idea. It's basically creating a more diverse ecosystem, where there's more ability for all the other insects and everything to kind of keep each other in check instead of it just being like we have like 10 acres of just cannabis. Okay, this one pest comes in here. There's nothing else in the ecosystem to kind of balance it out. So I know they do a really good job of planting a lot of other different plants around their cannabis to kind of create that more like biodiverse ecosystem that can kind of keep everything in check, so to speak. And it's beautiful. If you go to it, it's like they've got all these nice, colorful flowers around their cannabis beds too. So that's kind of the secondary benefit.
He did our interview from his phone in the garden,
Oh, really?
and
That's awesome.
I was just like, "Can I move in?" Like,
Yeah. It's an
um,
incredible place and amazing people. We're so lucky to be working with them.
really. And just to kind of compare and contrast, because not everyone has the insider knowledge that, you have, or I personally have. Um, what's the exact opposite of what Johnny and Joseph are doing? It's not just that they're growing indoors. That's part of it. And it's not just that they're using pesticides or whatever. What is because I hear from people who work in the industry and they're like, you wouldn't
Yeah.
believe it if I told you. But
Yeah.
we're not saying it's everyone in the slightest, that there are
Yeah.
clean grow rooms, but like what's going on behind the scenes at some of these where people aren't putting in the daily care and attention that these guys are?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can speak more to the pre-roll side, if that's
Please.
okay, because
Yeah,
I
please.
think I can speak a little bit more directly into what's going on in the differences, versus the cultivation side. I know that
Great.
there are some larger scale farms that are doing less than savory practices, but since I don't know as many of the details, I'll take your question into the field I do know a lot more specifics about. Um, so in our pre-roll manufacturing and production, we just kind of keep it simple, and that's not always a norm. So with our pre-rolls, it's just all flour. We also do infused pre-rolls. We make our own rosin, so we do have other products that are, higher potency in addition to the ratio line. Um, and for that, it's just the flour and the rosin, and we just mix those two and we put them in the pre-roll, and it's all full ingredients. The majority of infused pre-rolls out there and the ones that are really selling well are not that. They're kind of this Frankenstein product where it's like trim of the plant that is then sprayed with distillate and artificial terpenes
Gross.
to give it a smell, and then they'll put the rosin or the diamonds or whatever the other concentrate they're trying to, market that it's infused with. Um, and it's just a completely different product, and people don't know, consumers still don't know that that's what's going on. And that's one of our big campaigns that we're going to be pushing out this year, is putting that out in the stores and um, having people see sort of like a lot of the pre-rolls that are out there that people are just going to buy based off of potency or price is trim and sprayed artificial terpenes, which is, I don't think, what a lot of people are signing up for. But there's just not that information out there yet. So um, I know that there's a lot of other similar shortcuts in the cultivation field, as your initial question was that other growers are doing, where they're taking the shortcuts and finding ways to save cost and hoping the consumer doesn't find out that the farmers that we're working with are doing it the full, care and putting all the right steps into place.
Thank you. Thank you just for explaining that. I mean, how would anyone know if they haven't seen it, if they don't work in the industry? I just want people
Yeah,
to ask where their cannabis is from. And
for sure.
if it's a really complicated answer or they try to get out of answering it, make the decision for yourself. Um,
Yeah.
but at some point, I would love to do some sort of like Pepsi challenge where, blindfold people and
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be
right? Okay,
awesome.
I just gotta cut. Miami's fabulous, but maybe I'll do a
Yeah.
trip to LA. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
well, Artie, thank you so much just for jumping on with us. And I was thrilled to see your product. Everyone who's in California, even though yeah, it's a big state, go to the Green Cross. The Green Cross is the best dispensary in the country. Tell them Catherine sent you and say hi to Kevin. And Lorenzo, if he's still there. Love Lorenzo. And yeah, let's keep in touch. If there's anything I can do to help you guys along, because I know you're just kind of starting out, it would be an honor. And I feel like we're at a tipping point. We're not there yet, but
Yeah.
the fact that your products are moving, that people are asking about it, that people see that there are options, I think is the first step. So I'm thrilled to be a part of it too.
Awesome. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on and what you're doing, just kind of spreading this education out there to your audience. It's huge. It's what's needed, and that's what's going to kind of push us over this edge of, hopefully having a uh new evolution and kind of some new understanding pushed into the industry where people are thinking a little deeper about where their products are coming from. That they're putting in their body. We saw this movement happen with food, you know, and people are starting to make healthier, choices with where their food's coming from. So I think it's only a matter of time that it happens with cannabis.